Uh, yeah, we'll start now.
Okay.
Cognita Tequila. Go ahead.
Episode 1.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Welcome to Cognita Tequila, the podcast for thinking men
And
and drinking
drinking
men.
man.
Okay,
Yeah.
we fucked it up.
It's not fuck up. It
Well,
sounded
yeah,
cooler.
no, yeah.
It sounded
Okay.
cooler because we both said it.
So true, King. So true.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, so hello everybody, and welcome to the very first episode, I guess, of our podcast. Um, it's just gonna be two friends
Two best
sitting
friends.
around shooting the shit. Two best friends sitting around shooting the shit, talking about interesting things. And the topics are wide and varied, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. I think perfect time to just say, my name is Jacket. This is my best friend Mahogany. He is the
Hello.
Mahogany Mage, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. A legend amongst men, the 1,000 beer drinking man, the man who's not allowed near school buildings.
We usually keep the last part of that off, but
and, I figured we'll both take a turn and explain where our names came from first, and then we got some more things there just to get us familiar with it, because neither of us have ever done anything like this before. I mean, I've done content creation, but not like this, never just purely audio, and it'll be a good way for both of us to get familiar. So
yeah, sitting around, and then in the future we'll be able to get like right into it, I guess. But got to start somewhere. Humble beginnings, right?
hell yeah. Do you want to explain your name first? Because yours is probably easier to explain than mine.
Sure. Mahogany Mage. Basically, I got it from two really simple things. I really like woodworking. I did a lot of woodworking growing up. I still do woodworking when I have free time. I get the mahogany part of that from the fact that I did my woodworking in like shop classes and stuff. I'd always stain everything with mahogany afterwards, and I just think it looked really good. And then mage part I got because I'm a big fan of like fantasy and D&D and that sort of thing, and magic, that's cool as shit. How can you dislike magic? So that's
Makes
where
sense.
my name came from.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, woodworking was always so much fun. Probably one of the best subjects in school.
Oh yeah, shop class. It's
Get to
because it's
fuck
like the
around.
only class where you got to sit and fuck around, and your shop teacher is always like an old man sitting at the front of the classroom who didn't give a shit about what you're doing. I remember like we would chase okay, I shouldn't say this, but we would chase each other with like saws and shit like that while we were in the shop class. And we would just like do the most awful shit. But when you put a room full of high school or middle school boys together and you give them dangerous fucking tools, somebody's bound to do stupid shit with it. But
Yeah, as long as you don't name the teacher, we're good.
Right, yeah.
Make him lose his job. Okay.
I actually don't know if the same teacher I had for shop class is still teaching there, but I'll tell you this was hilarious going off of that. That same shop teacher was my oh god, I'm forgetting the name for it. You're like chaperone. There we go. He was our chaperone for our Washington D.C. trip that we did in 8th grade. And he took us to one of the Smithsonians. I believe it was like the Aaron Smith Smithsonian. And he was like, "Oh, they have this really cool 4D movie experience that I want to go see. But since none of you have the money, I'm gonna go watch it. You guys just don't leave the museum." And then he disappeared for 2 hours and just let me and the rest of my group just fucking wander around the Space Museum by ourselves as 8th grade kids.
Yeah, I can't see that going well anymore, but I probably would have enjoyed it anyway.
It was so fun. And then we had this one that she was like the lady in charge of the whole trip, and her group happened to walk into the museum like an hour in, and we just had to hide from them the entire time. Like anytime they'd get close, like some of us would go into like this little maze thing they had with all the pictures of the space stuff. Others of us would go into like the bathroom and just hide out there till their group was passed. And it was like a Scooby-Doo style like chase around the thing, keeping out of their sight the entire time. It was really fun.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Miss school sometimes. Anyway, well, my name, for those who wouldn't know, if you know the name immediately, it's because you know it's from Hotline Miami. You know Jacket, the character, and if you don't know Hotline Miami, it's used to be, I guess, it was a small indie game that blew up to be really popular. If you don't know the game, that's really shocking to me at this point, but it's been the inspiration for a lot of indie games since. And if you don't know, I'd say check it out. But it comes from the main character of that. It's just a character that always resonated with me in a sort of way, and I liked it, so that's mine now. I took it.
It belongs to you.
Yeah, I could go into that more later, but I didn't want that to be a whole shindig about it. So the
You hear that,
problem.
Devolver? Come after him. He's the one on the papers. He's the one taking the IP.
I if Devolver ever listens for any reason, please make Hotline Miami 3. I don't care if it's the shittiest game in the world. I don't care if it's a troll. Just do it. Yeah, but I mean that series was really popular at the time, or probably not as popular as it is now, for the sense that it wasn't as well known, I guess maybe. But I played it around the time probably when it came out, maybe a little after. I loved it to death. I felt just such a strong connection. I felt like it was one of those games that, really has a huge change on you. Maybe affects your life, maybe changes your worldview. And then when they made the sequel, it was only further reinforced. I know you feel the same way with Mass Effect. I know that's your favorite.
Yep.
I guess Mass Effect, what it was to you was Hotline Miami to me. So
Yeah, I love games that have that effect on you, where you can just sit down and play it, and it gives you this memorable experience, and it gives you characters and things you can love forever. And sadly, we don't see that as much. Maybe there are people like younger kids now that are growing up with these characters that me and you are just like, okay, like what the hell is this? But I'm sure for them, they're gonna grow up in 20 years and be like, do you remember playing this game? And it's gonna be like
when I was a
the
little
greatest
kid,
shit ever.
John Wick from Fortnite, I related to him so well. When I try and think of the most like recent, like I guess popular games that especially like kids play, like what, Five Nights at Freddy's, like Among Us, Lethal Company, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
I'm
think that
missing
a lot.
any.
I think that a lot of. I mean, you have like Roblox, right? Which
Right.
is, but that's been like a kid's game that stood the test of time. But nowadays, I feel like it's kind of shrouded in a little bit of darkness comparatively to what it used to be. But
Changed a lot.
it's so weird seeing how games have changed, because I feel like game franchises used to be like what I would call, or what I think they're called, is a mascot series or something like that, where it's like you had this one defining character that made the series, right? So like you had Crash Bandicoot, for instance. You everyone knew who Crash Bandicoot was, or Sly Cooper,
Right.
things like that. In a lot of games, you had these like very strong main characters that were the center of everything, and you just knew their name, you knew their face. You could say a character like that, and as long as somebody grew up in a generation where that game was around, they probably would recognize it. Even if they don't recognize the name right off the bat, they would probably recognize what they look like, right?
Yeah, you're totally right about that. And I don't know if I assume you used the word mascot because you knew this already, but in case you didn't, I will bring it up. Here's some little gaming old school knowledge for you, is that after Pac-Man, they found out that mascots were definitely a huge help in getting, especially like kids, but people in general, to really like the characters. They found that people didn't really so much like being themselves, that sometimes they liked being someone else, especially a hero. And where they found that to be is in Mario and Sonic. They thought Mario and Sonic, for some reason, would. I mean, they are. When you look at their designs, are really simple. Kids just gravitated to them. They were colorful. They were fun. They were cool, and most of all, they were heroes. And kids liked that. And even adults that played video games, because adults liking video games at the time wasn't seen how it is now. Um, Adults, for some reason, just that they preferred being, I guess, like a hedgehog than themselves. I don't know what that says about them, but it was true. This is something you can look into. Um, but mascots were a huge jump in gaming. That is actually true.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I could believe that easily. I think like my very first game I remember sticking with. My very first game I ever played was Donkey Kong Country. Um, so I have a special place in my heart for Donkey Kong. Always will. He's just a memorable character. Who doesn't love an ape and a tie? Like what a ridiculous thing to put as your main character, right? But then it slowly shifted, and I think my big first like memorable mascot game was Sly Cooper, and just getting on the PlayStation when I was a kid and just being able to play as like the legendary thief Sly Cooper. You know, what made you feel cooler than that?
Yeah, I was right there next to you because Crash and Sly were my two. I don't know what my first game was, but definitely those were my two first. Like, wow, I'm really invested in this. I played it on PlayStation when I was a kid, and although I had a bunch of other games at the time, those two were definitely my favorite. I don't know if it had to do because of the story. I really I couldn't remember. With Sly, maybe a lot more the dynamic between the whole team versus I don't know, yet another monster game. I had all like Godzilla games and shit where
Yeah.
you're just a bunch of random apes and fucking dinosaurs killing each other. I mean, how many games have you played in your life where you just some random ass soldier that kills people? It's
Well,
not very inspiring.
that's the thing is with like a big one I think about the shift happening from that like mascots, notable mascots. It was around like Call of Duty, maybe it was before that, but that was like my first big one that I remember really getting into was like what was it? Call of Duty 2 Big Red One? Was that what I think it was called, Big Red One?
I don't know any
Um
of them. Yeah, I haven't played the old ones at
yeah,
all.
I played that and Medal of Honor, both of those series. But the thing is you just kind of became a nameless soldier. I don't know that I could tell you the names of any of the Medal of Honor characters outside of COD. The only ones I could probably tell you is like the Modern Warfare characters. But
I feel like you heard
I
their
guess
names a lot in those series.
yeah, like okay, Soap. Come on, how
I
can
did
you
not know
forget Soap?
Soap. Yeah,
Ghost.
even if you
And then
never
I guess
played.
that like Xbox 360 generation did a really good job of the COD games of making memorable characters because obviously Mason, Woods, Reznov, you're
Yep.
never going to forget those three.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just
Price.
yeah, Price, yeah, even funny enough, Mass Effect also had Commander Shepard, but you had Commander Shepard from COD as well, and they were like literally foils of one another. Commander Shepard from COD is like the most evil bastard ever, and then Commander Shepard from Mass Effect is like the hero of the universe.
Yeah. My kids are able to keep track of that. They can't keep track
Yeah.
of things that are probably more simple in school. But that was something that if you came home every day and played, you definitely knew all of it, and you expected your parents to know it too.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as a kid rattling off like the first 151 Pokemon like it was nothing. Like I knew every single one of them. You could show me the outline of them and I knew what they were.
Who's that
And then
Pokemon?
my parents would always like see me put my Pokemon VHS in and like watch it and they'd be like, How do you know what that character is?" And it's just like I guess it was something I found fun enough and enjoyed enough that I was like, yeah, okay, I know exactly who that is from outline alone.
Yeah, when you're a kid, obviously your interests are much different. But I'm sure we felt this both together in so many, like so much media we've enjoyed, whether gaming or movies or anything that we just can recall from our past. That all the details that we thought we would never forget, that would always be like, how could you not know this? Like I remember thinking as a kid, how could you not know these certain parts of Star Wars? I'd be fucked to tell you now half the fucking names of the characters. I don't care anymore. All I know is that Han Solo is hilarious and General Grievous looks awesome. Can I remember what the fighting styles are or like who was the good and bad and things like that. No, but when I was a kid, I probably would have been able to rattle off everything about it. I used to know so much about it that, if you didn't if you didn't know the same about it, it was like disappointing as a little kid. It was
Yeah,
confusing. Like, why didn't adults know all this? And then you grow up and realize why they don't pay attention to that shit. You got too many
yeah,
things
you
to
just have
do,
so many other things going on that you can't.
like other
You
video
start
games.
pushing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, video. Once you're an adult, it's because it's become video game of the month. You know, you have to keep up with all the newest releases, all the fun stuff that's coming out. You don't have time to remember the characters. That's what I'll say. I just finished Baldur's Gate 3 yesterday. Being a big D&D fan, I know I'm really late. I think I'm like 2 years late to the finishing that game, to be fair.
I've
But
never even played, so you're better than me.
memorable characters, great storyline, and honestly, nowadays I kind of feel like we're in an age of shooters and first persons and stuff or like team shooters, anything like that. And it was a really good story game to just sit down and have fun, and like so much was put into each of the characters. It was really awesome.
I've heard nothing bad about the game. I'm probably the only guy in the entire world who has not actually sat down and played Baldur's Gate 3. Uh, It had overwhelmingly positive reviews. Everyone I knew was playing it. Everyone was talking about it. Every video, the awards, every sign that was pointing towards play it. And for some reason, I'm just the kind of gamer that when something's popular and everyone really likes it, I'm usually like, yeah, I'll probably pass. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember how long we tried to convince you to get into Helldivers for, and
Yeah.
you just couldn't
Yes.
for ages.
When I saw Helldivers too, when the people first showed me that, I said, "Yeah, but you're just shooting a bunch of like bots, like a bunch of AI. That looks so boring." And then I started slowly watching more. I started seeing the diving and the ragdoll. I went, "Hold on, man, this looks kind of funny." And then I would have probably never bought it for myself, but our friend Adil had bought it for me. And when he bought it for me, and I was like, "All right, well now that someone actually paid for it, I have to play it." I had never been humbled so much in my life. I was like, wow, this game is actually probably one of the best horde shooters I've ever played. And I would have totally, I basically did let it slip by. I missed the famous Malevelon Creek, or however you say it.
Yeah.
I totally missed out on that. And everyone tells me, like, oh, yeah, you should have been there. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. It's stolen valor. It's not even a real it's not a real war. Come on, bro. You should have
I
been
was
there for it.
I was one of the guys that everyone complained about because it would be like I would see like Malevelon Creek propaganda every single day on my TikTok. And it would be like, oh, you need to get your ass to Malevelon Creek and help out. And I was one of the guys fighting on the bug front because I just didn't like fighting bots. So I was logging in every day while this battle was going on, and they're talking about how many soldiers they're losing and they need all the help. And it was like, yep, time to go kill some bugs again today. That's just
Yeah, I
my
just
9 to 5 was killing insects, and that was it.
listen, it's an important part of the fight. It might not get the same glory, but it's still an important aspect. You never know. The
And
bugs might sneak up from the side while everyone's fighting the bots.
I took like a little while off of Helldivers too, just to pursue playing other games that I'd been enjoying more at the time. And I came back, and holy hell, man, some of this stuff is insane. There's flying bugs now,
Yeah, I
and
mean, God.
they just like dive bomb you, and I feel like I'm caught with my pants down fighting bugs now, where it used to be like, the worst you had were stalkers, which were fast, but as long as you turned your gun on them and you had at least someone nearby, you were usually fine.
New underground update. Now you go in the tunnels. They're adding like everything that you could have ever wanted if you're a sci-fi fan. It's literally Starship Troopers, but just God, the humor's there, the action, the moments that just feel cinematic it's like Battlefield where you could never
Yeah.
recreate it. And if you had gotten 20 guys to sit down and try to choreograph like a certain action scene, it would never come out the way it does. It's just by chance. Never ever in 1,000 years, even if you thought about it for so long. That's what makes it so cool to me, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I love stuff like that. Like you said, battlefield moments almost. I remember like my first time in Helldivers. I had a bit where I got the what was it, the bubble shield backpack, and I'm just like weaving through this horde of enemies, and they're hitting, and then my shield goes down. And it's like, okay, I cannot get hit again. And I'm weaving through them, throwing grenades down behind me, and just watching the gore. And in that moment, I felt like a hero. Like I was doing the work that
Yeah.
needed to be done.
Games don't really make you feel like something strong as much now, or you have to work really hard to get that feeling. Like, let's be real, if you're playing like Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, or whatever team shooter, whatever of the month, do you really feel good unless you get like a 3 or 4 person kill streak, like all at once or something? No, if you get a double kill and stuff, you're like, whatever. But I feel like
Yeah, it's just kind of
back
par for the
then,
course.
yeah, I feel like back then getting a double kill in like say old school Halo was kind of like, yeah, just fucked on these guys, get shit on. But
Yeah.
now it's really just expected. You expect yourself to get quad kills like it's nothing.
I
Um,
think that there's just a higher standard for being good at video games too. I think that the field has broadened so much that there are players that it's the mentality of the always the bigger fish, right? You have to accept that you can be really great at a game, but because of how broad the field is for people playing those games, there are players that are just going to beat you every day of the week. And it's just the way it is.
yeah, a hard reality. Hey, before we say anything else, did you already open your drink?
Oh, yeah, I have it right here.
All
Cheers,
right.
bud.
Cheers. I got myself a nice. Oop, my mic will pick it up. You probably won't be able to hear it on Discord as I open this. I don't know. Tell me if you can hear it. But
I heard maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I popped the cap and immediately started surging out. I had to catch it in my mouth. Um, mm. Mm. I'm having a nice cold beer. My favorite beer, in fact, at least at the moment, which is a Grolsch beer. It's a German Pilsner. I'm saying that right. When I went to Mahogany's house, I actually brought a couple of these over for him to try because I just like it. Mahogany is an 8-hour drive from where I live, and so when I went to go see him in person for the first time, I brought 2 6-packs of these beer because I was like, "This is my favorite beer of all time, and you're my best pal. I need you to try this."
And they lived up to the expectation. They were great.
I was so happy. I was
Yeah, I
so
love them.
so. What are you drinking right now?
I'm just Coors Banquet. Just enjoying a good old Coors Banquet. I'm kind of simple when it comes to beers. Well, I'll be honest, actually, I really, really like stouts like Guinness and stuff like that. But they're heavy. They're a very, very heavy beer. Not heavy in alcohol content. Guinness is actually rather low. You can find stouts that are pretty heavy up there, but just the beer itself being like a dark, thicker beer.
Caught in your throat more
Um,
kind of stuff, you mean?
I wouldn't say that, but it sits in your stomach heavier, I guess
Ah,
is the
okay.
best way to explain it. People make fun of me often for liking stouts, and they say that I like to eat my beer, not drink
Yeah.
it. Um, And I don't know. For me, there's just something so good about a dark beer. Just, I guess, dark liquors, dark beers in general. I'm huge fan of those. Uh, like rum. Give me rum any day of the week. I'll take that as a liquor.
I might be on the opposite
Um,
side of the spectrum then. Because I might, I mean, I gotta really think about all the things I've drank in my life. But like, I was at the liquor store today thinking about, I was going up and down the aisles like a kid in a candy store, looking at all the different bottles they had. Jack Daniels, as of recording this is September 4th, around 8 p.m. And Jack Daniels' birthday comes up tomorrow. I
Yeah, I
wanted
need
to
to buy some
celebrate,
Jack for that.
so I was thinking about buying some Jack Daniels. So I was going up and down trying to figure out, and I realized, do I really want to buy a whole ass bottle of Jack Daniels? And if I was 20 years old again, I'd say yes. What are you fucking thinking? Of course, buy the goddamn bottle. But my tastes have changed, and I've changed. But more so, I've realized, do I really want to have to suck down this bottle for the next like couple weeks? Because I don't drink. I mostly drink on weekends. Um, is do I want to suck down this bottle? And I'm not going to drink this Jack straight in a glass most of the time. I'm probably going to have this a Jack and Coke.
Yeah,
And if you've ever
yeah.
thrown up on the Jack and Coke, which I have after chugging Jack Daniels and Coca Cola many times in my life, it not only feels disgusting, but it looks disgusting. It is a nightmare texture that comes out of your mouth and fills the fucking toilet. Your
And
pristine throne is covered black.
a funny story for that is in college they used to call me Poltergeist and my like little group because I would drink Kraken rum, which is already black, and then I would drink it with Dr. Pepper, which was dark
Very
on top of
dark.
that. So when I would go to the bathroom and hurl, it was like I was hurling black shit out, like I was being exercised.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Um,
I can imagine.
so for everyone would always make fun of me for that, as if I was like exercising a demon out of me every time I would go to the bathroom to hurl because it was just straight black.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say I've probably barfed almost every color of the rainbow at this point. In terms of, it's hard to remember, but usually what would happen is I would get to a point where I would keep drinking something every weekend, and then something would happen. You know, you start kind of gagging on it a bit more. Maybe the smell isn't as good as when you first opened the cap, or maybe after you take a few sips with your friends, you start retching to yourself and go, "Ooh, something isn't right here." But you force it down anyway because you're no pussy, you're no punk. And then maybe 2, 3, 4, however many hours of staying up drinking you gotta hurl. And after that, hurling, you just can't drink it ever again. Like something changes. I don't know. And I've had that with a lot of liquor where I've had to stay off of it for a long time. Just stay completely ignore it. I used to drink beatboxes all the time. I can't drink those anymore. I've hurled on beatboxes one too many times, and now just being near a beatbox, I'm like, ugh.
I can't drink beatboxes because despite the fact that I can drink so much liquor, I can drink anything in the world and be fine. If I drink, the most I've ever had is 3 beatboxes in a night. And when I drank 3, I was so hungover for the next day and the day after that I was like, I am never touching these again. This is literally the worst hangover I've ever had in my entire life on beatboxes.
That is hilarious because of the fact that Mahogany is bigger than me. He is taller. He is wider than me. I am a shorter, skinny guy. And when I was drinking beatboxes, I had a problem where I would wake up and find tons of beatboxes all over my desk. Definitely more than 3. Like, I mean, I was just fucking chugging that shit. But I would constantly wake up to a couple that were half full, which meant halfway through drinking them, I went and grabbed another one and started drinking that one.
Yeah.
So I was so fun. I remember being just fucked while drinking them. It's just weird because Mahogany can certainly outdrink me in terms of beer or liquor. He just has the body for it. I by the time I am even getting close to, if we were both just drink straight the same thing, my stomach would be full before he's even feeling a buzz. Like it's not a contest in that way. Um, but for some reason, beatbox immediately annihilated you, and I was able to enjoy some level of, I guess, demon time, as you would call it.
Yeah,
I didn't even like them that much. It wasn't like I like really loved them. I thought they were great when I first had them. I was like, wow, this is so cool. But it didn't take long until I joined your club and like, ugh, never mind.
that's how I feel. The only I think liquor I've ever had that feeling, aside from beatboxes, is like Fireball / Captain Morgan's. And despite the fact that I like Rum. I think it was just like during the peak of COVID. I was a college student. I was in my second year of college right when COVID hit. And so they had us do all of our like classes online and all this stuff. So I was in my room all the time. And my schedule got so fucked, man. I was my schedule, I did not see daylight for weeks on end when I was during like the COVID outbreak because they forced us to take all of our classes, and me and a few other buddies had a house on our campus. We were renting and we had to stay and pay rent anyway. So all of us figured, well, we might as well stay and live here and not go back home to our parents or whatever. So I would wake up at 8 p.m. every single night. That was just when I naturally would get up. I would unscrew my bottle of Captain Morgan's and my bottle of Fireball and mix it together. And I called the mixture Cannonball. And then I would log on World of Warcraft and play World of Warcraft till 7 a.m., which was the only class that I actually had to be there on the Zoom call for. And I would drink it. You didn't have to be on camera. You just had to be there in the Zoom call. You didn't even have to talk. So I was plastered at 7 a.m. every morning getting on this Zoom call. And I would sit through my class that I had. And then after it was over, I would log off, shut everything down, crawl into bed, and sleep until 8 again the next night.
So that's when you peaked as an alcoholic, basically.
Yeah, that was pretty much my moment of like, well, what else did I have to do in that moment? There wasn't like, at least when I go out to the bars, I have to be able to tell myself, okay, reasonably, I have to be able to make it home. So I can't get so drunk that I prevent myself from getting home in any way. When I was in my room, locked away, and even my friends, we really didn't interact with each other much because everyone was worried about COVID at the time and whatnot. When none of us were really interacting or doing anything, what was there to do? Like, it was wake up, have some liquor, play video games, and call it a day.
Video games, people, you ever see now is that there are people, especially those who are introverted or socially like anxious and stuff like that, this is the craziest thing, that missed the time that COVID was around. And I think it is mostly from hindsight that you get to look back and see, well, for a lot of people, it probably wasn't as dangerous as we thought. I mean, if you were a young person and you were relatively healthy with no problems and, you know, you were taking the decent precautions, it probably wasn't as bad. But at the time, you know, before really anyone knew anything, it was pretty scary.
We're freaking the hell out about it.
But what I think they loved so much is that, you know, for a while everything was online. So if you hated school, online school, well, shit, I did online school and I loved it because the entire time I stayed home and just exactly watched TV. I used to put my fucking phone up if I had a class with a camera. Luckily my high school actually came to the end right as COVID started. My graduation from high school was under COVID. And surprisingly, we could show up, but we all had to be very apart. So for me, I didn't go through high school COVID stuff at all. I don't know what that was like for kids. But in college, it was goated because you never had, oh my God, nobody could check on you. You could cheat on everything if you really wanted to. Like, I'm sure everybody fucking probably did that. And more so if I've never worked, the only jobs I've ever worked from home were video editing and things of that category. Kind of hard to fake that. But I'm sure there's jobs that working from home that you really do nothing. You know, because normally you'd be there in person to do whatever you would do. That must have been great. That must have been seriously amazing at the time. It's probably a bad thing to say that, but it's probably true that for some people, COVID was great. If you were a socially awkward, introverted person, you didn't have to interact with anyone unless you really wanted to.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Is like there was when it pushed everyone to be online, you couldn't be out in person. I mean, what else did you have to do? It had to have been fantastic because your life revolved around that anyway. And I'm sure, I mean, if you really think about it, just gaming as a whole, but more so the online communities that have formed, there was probably a huge sprout in online communities after COVID hit. Online probably communities grew for everything.
Well, we
Uh,
experienced that. We
yeah,
experienced that 100% because me and Mahogany both play a game called VR Chat. VR Chat is a virtual reality game in which it's not really more so a game, but um,
it's like a social app, I
yeah,
guess.
more
Is
like
the
a
best way.
social app. And you get to talk to people face to face, interact with new players. There's games, there's whatnot. But mostly me and him do drinking on there. And on VR Chat, in terms of not only just the game, but also groups that me and you were part of, surged with popularity at the time. It wasn't something people thought about until after. They went, well, where else are our numbers going? People aren't playing as much. People aren't doing this as much. It's because they had to go back to work. People couldn't stay home getting drunk all day anymore,
Yeah.
playing fucking video games. Which I guess perfect timing to mention that me and Mahogany are two people who play VR chat every weekend. Which, if you're not a VR chat player, probably sounds insane to even play it more than like a day straight. But we like to hop
Especially
on
if you're
and
somebody who's seen that shit on
yeah,
like
it looks
TikTok of
bad.
all the crazy. Yeah, that the outward perspective looks very bad for that game.
It's it's hard to express to people that whatever you've seen of VR chat, you got to push out of your mind and understand that there's two kinds of VR chat um, activities. It's the kind where you either go to places and you see random people running around screaming slurs and little kids talking, and then guys talking to little kids, or you go to where we and me and Mahogany would normally go, which is pubs and drinking places where everyone is just a bunch of alcoholic older men who want to get drunk. And that's
Yeah,
and it's like the baby coddled version of bar hopping, essentially. Because if you get too drunk, well, you don't have to drive. If you throw up, your toilet's right there. If something really bad happens, your bed's right there in your house. And the best part is no one can take advantage of you. You're just in a virtual game. None of it's real.
yeah.
So
That's what whenever I try to explain to my grandfather what VR is like, it's obviously it's a hard thing because there's a generational disconnect between him and video games, let alone him and virtual reality. But whenever I try and talk to him about it, I that's the best way I can summarize it is like what we get up to on the weekends is just bar hopping. It really is.
yeah,
And it's cool because now I'm not only bar hopping with my little community of people around me, but I get to bar hop, and every weekend I get to meet like Germans, Australians, like people from all different cultures all over the world. And you get to learn so much about people, and it's awesome. And the fun thing is that it brings everyone together through the shared, like, oh, we're all here. Everybody understands cheers. It's a universal.
yeah. If it's not cheers, it's was it Prost, German, Salud, like
Skull
Spanish.
is like the
Yeah, skull.
Nordic countries.
There's, it's just if you walk up and everybody, if you hold up a glass, everyone knows time to take a
Yeah.
drink. And that really is, to me, the best part of VR chat. Now, there's plenty of other things that other people enjoy, obviously, and that's cool and all. But I think for me and you, we typically find ourselves just in that bracket. We are more
Mhm.
drinkers than anything.
Well,
And
I'll tell you, when I first like discovered VR, it was actually during COVID, and I had a buddy of mine that I knew since probably middle school, and he was like, "Man, I heard about this game called VR Chat. Like, we should totally hop on it and see what's going on it." And I was like, I don't have a VR headset. Like, I'm not into VR at all in the slightest. I don't know anything about it. And he was like, "Oh, you don't have to. Just get in on desktop." And I remember the very first time I did, I got in a Funky Kong avatar from the Donkey Kong franchise. And I got in a Funky Kong avatar and I had my like glasses on. And he took me to what's it called? Pug. The Pug.
yeah,
And we went to the Pug and I was walking around and I'll never forget it because it was just First off, VR chat is a culture shock. If you've never played VR chat, you are in for the biggest shock of your life when you see like some woman walk in the most scantily clad clothing you've ever seen in your life, or you see guys in like the most ripped avatars that's like Baki character levels of ripped.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side of the culture shock where it's like you have these people that are in these like meme funny ass avatars that just do funny shit. My very first time in that pug, there was a guy walking around in a xenomorph avatar and he was wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt, a straw hat, and he had like a little camera dangled around his neck like he was a tourist. And he was just walking up to people, and through his mic, he was playing the Steam screenshot noise. And it was so funny because some people, like to me, I thought it was hilarious. He would just walk up to me, walk right up to my face, and put the screenshot noise through his mic, and then walk off. And other people, he would do it, and they would get so mad, and they'd be like, "Don't take a picture of me." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, he's probably not even taking photos of you. The amount that he's
Probably has
just
a sound.
spammed off in this short time, his PC hard drive would be full of photos if he did that. But he was just, it was a goofy little funny thing that I was like, yeah, only in this kind of game would you get that interaction with people.
People are very dedicated to their bits, obviously. And in VR chat, it's just more amplified because of how much. I think what makes it so great is you can see so much of their body language, and if they have even more access, like their facial expressions and such. There's just something more human about it. I mean, there's a reason that people do so much like dating and stuff on there. Obviously, there's a reason people want that kind of stuff. But I figured this was a good time to explain how we met, because I think this is a really good story.
Take it away.
So long ago, I used to be a man that would hop on. This probably sound really bad. I used to hop on VR chat almost every day and drink. I would get on every night, go find random people, and they have a lobby called Drinking Night. It's the public one where everyone goes. And I used to go on there every night and get drunk. I didn't have many friends at the time. So a pal of mine invited me and got me to meet some of his friends, luckily. Now I had new people to talk to who seemed to actually like me, which was, at the time, pretty great. And I think that, I don't know if it's actually the person, because I think the very first interaction between me and you was our mutual friend Jaden introducing us to each other and us being like, "Hey," or something like that.
Yeah,
and probably having nothing after that. But we didn't talk, and it was probably like the kind of thing where maybe you just said hi at a house party or something. We don't really know who each other are. And then later on, really what I think was the spark that ignited it is I used to deal a lot of tables. Now, if you don't know, dealing a table in VR chat or drinking in general is people like to play a drinking game, typically with cards. And I would deal that card game. I did it all the time. At one time, I was dealing those cards for our friends and I guess our mutual friends, because that's how that kind of game works. Mahogany happened to be there that day at my table. And while I was dealing, he came over to V and said, "Hey, fuck you, pal." And I stopped for a minute. And at the time, I didn't really talk as much. And I looked back at them and I went, "Well, fuck you too, buddy." And then he said, "Well, okay, cheers to that." And I went, "All right." And I think after that, it was, I don't know, that for some reason, probably the weirdest way in the world to meet. But that was the instant spark. We both realized that we could bust each other's balls and that it was never going to matter. And slowly we started hanging out more and more each day upon our mutual friends. And now we're at a point where we hang out every single day together. Just
in the hangout game. Yeah.
I've met this guy in real life and everything. As online friends, that's kind of a big deal for some people.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I first met you, it wasn't thought in my mind to know. And then coming out and hanging out and getting to drink with you and getting to hang out with you every day, it just goes to show how far our friendship has come since then.
Oh yeah.
It is an awesome thing. And it cracks me up about that story. It's just I at the time I had only just gotten into drinking in VR. I was not very familiar. I didn't know people drank in VR. I didn't even know that was a thing. And Jaden is the one who told me. He's like, "Do you know people get on this game every weekend and get drunk?" And I was like, "What? No." And I was sitting there by myself drinking. So I was just like, well, this is great. Like, I don't have to question WoW solo while I sit here and drink now. I can just get in a game and actually talk to people. And then I got in, and I was so fortunate to have ran into you. And man, what a chance meeting, right? Such a small, out of all the lobbies that existed, we ran into each other, and it blossomed into now we're sitting here and we have a podcast together.
That's right. It makes millions of dollars every day.
Yeah, remember this. Come back in like a year. Come back in 2 months. That's the Mahogany Mage guarantee.
I'm gonna farm YouTube Shorts and TikTok. And I'm gonna put a Minecraft speedrunner clip while we're talking over it about God or something.
And then put Subway surfers at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll put like text in bold, but I'll use AI, so some of it will be broken and not even match up with what you're saying because I'm so fucking lazy.
Actually, you know what's
off?
Speaking of like subtitling stuff, there was a guy who one of the top earners for like that kind of content on TikTok last year was a guy who literally just used AI to dub iShow speed clips into Spanish. And he made tons of money off of it. And he just used AI for it.
I'm surprised he gets any money for that. Like, you think he wouldn't own any of that, or however that would work, copyright? I don't know.
Well, the problem is that content, because of fair use, as long as the content is transformative in some way. So while I don't think that Speed is going after content creators like this, I think that he absolutely could by just saying like, hey man, like, what did you actually do to transform this content? You just translate it into Spanish. But I also don't see Speed like going out of his way like Mr. Beast does to have his entire channel professionally translated and his clips and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm sure that creators like him are already making more than enough to satisfy themselves. So if it means throwing a few bucks towards the guy, I would rather see like an actual translator translate all of them into Spanish and then go from there. But unfortunately, yeah, it's all about with the content creation algorithm. It's about how much you can pump out in a short time, and an AI is just going to do it better than anybody.
True. I mean, someday maybe. We'll see where it goes. But maybe someday AI will get to a point where it is just as good as normal content. I think people are so hard on AI, and that is definitely something I'd love to talk about in the future. But people have such a negative view on AI, and I just don't. I mean, I think that some of it is goofy and ridiculous at times and kind of scary, sure. But I mean, I grew up loving Terminator, so the idea of Skynet taking over and nuking us is something I've thought about since I was a little kid. And when I see AI, I don't think ever like, yeah, humanity's doomed. I never think that.
Well, when I first started college, this is hilarious to me looking back on it, but I started in AI research. I was computer science with a focus in AI research. And I was like, after taking a year of it, I was like, yeah, this shit's never taking off. And then I dropped it. Looking back, probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made. But, it is what it is now. I just accept it. But you take a lot of ethics classes when you go into AI research. You have to, just because if you leave an AI to be unshackled basically and do whatever the hell it wants. Who knows? And AI can be used for very nefarious means. I'm sure it already is being integrated into every weapons system in the world. But I think that the benefits of AI, I largely agree, are going to far outweigh the downside. But again, we'll talk about this in a future episode. We'll even
just
probably
saying,
dedicate a whole episode to AI. We could totally do that.
I want nothing more than have a dirty clanker bring me my beers while I play video games, and it does all my dishes, and even makes money from farms Bitcoin for me. Like clankers should be I should be their owner, and they should do things for me. Just saying.
Okay. Yeah, get me a Codsworth bot right now.
Yeah, hey, that shit would be dope.
Yeah,
I just, if you've ever played Fallout and you know what Codsworth is, that, especially his voice and everything, oh, pristine. I'd wake up to him every morning, and I would greet him in my boxers in the kitchen and be like, can I have waffles and pancakes and eggs? And he'd be like, yeah, very well, sir. And I'd be like, fantastic, thank you.
God Howard's seeing this right now, thinking to himself, man, we had that in the works for 2050, and they've already gotten on to it. They already made the Pip-Boy. Give them a couple years. We'll have full-on Codsworth units coming out of Bethesda Studios.
Oh my god. I could think of 1,000 people that would buy it on day one. Like, not people I would know personally, but I know that there's so many rich people that would just own it just to have it. Having Teslas like that. There's so many rich people that own Tesla. I doubt they're driving that shit to work or wherever they're doing every day. They just like owning one because it's just like, yeah, why not? You're rich, you might as well.
Where I work, we actually have some like electric car charging stations. So that people who do drive Teslas and things like that can come in and park and charge their car during the day. And it's provided by the company. So I think that's a great thing. And it's awesome. Cool. It's basically like free gas provided by the company, right? But the funny thing is because so many people have seen the free electric charging stations, more and more people are buying electrical vehicles at my company. And it's gotten to the point now where every day the charging stations are full.
Yeah, that must suck. You get there and it's full, and you're like, well, I guess I might not get home today. I might have to stay at work a couple extra hours.
Some of the people who drive the electric vehicles, they don't even want to leave for lunch because they know the minute they leave and pull out of the charging area, so someone else is going to whip in. No, they don't leave. Well, oh yeah, they get their extra hour. Some of them don't. I'm sure some of them just stick around and stay the extra hour anyway, and they just like pack lunch or whatever. But
okay. Yeah, I mean, fuck that. If I had an electric car, I wouldn't give up my spot for the world. Shit, might as well walk home and leave your car over there.
Providing me the electricity for the entire thing, right? It's just.
I mean, how expensive could it be? If people, I don't know, like electric car, so I would never even know. But people said it was like the same price as gas, isn't it?
I have no clue. I also don't. I own a very eco-friendly gas car, so I have the fortunate thing where like gas to me is just dirt cheap because I only live like 10 minutes from work, and the drive to and there, like I only have to fill my gas tank once every 2 weeks or something like that. So it's good. It's great.
Yep, makes sense. I mean, I try to drive. I don't know if this is just a Gen Z thing or something, but I always try to drive as little as possible. Like if I do not have to go, and if I do go somewhere, I'm like, all right, I gotta make this count. I'm hitting the liquor store. I'm gonna go get weed. I'm gonna get snacks and supplies, or whatever. Oh, mom, dad, do you need me to pick anything up? Is there anything I want while I'm out here? Oh, maybe I should go. Like I get everything done at once, including gassing up. If I'm even just gassing up, I'm like, yeah, I gotta hit the gas station. Let me find a good day where I'm going down that road.
Yeah, exactly. That's I drive right past the gas station on my way to work every day and on my way home. So I just time it out. It's like, oh, I got to the 2-week mark. My gas tank is 2 or 3 bars left. Like, yeah, it's like at a quarter tank. Time to just stop and fill it back up. And to fill my whole car, it's like $20. That's it.
Oh,
so
wow,
$20 every 2 weeks to fill my car and get me around where I need to go. Is great. And then on top of that, I guess this is a good time to say I'm an engineer. I'm sure that'll come up in future episodes. I'm a mechanical engineer on an engineering salary, $20 every 2 weeks to fill your car. That's nothing.
Yeah, damn good. Um, okay, I got another one for you. So I got a couple other things I wanted to get through because time is flying because we're having a good time talking. So I wanted to mention, I got to pick through these three. Why don't we start with why we drink the way we do? Because I think this is a fun conversation, and well, we'll probably drink as we're talking about it. I wrote this down specific to bring up later between us because me and Quentin, as long as we've known each other for multiple years now, drinking has been a part of our lives. And it sounds when you talk to somebody who doesn't drink as often, or especially if they have problems with it, or everybody knows somebody who's had a problem with drinking.
Yeah.
The constant question is, and when you have this question in your mind when you're a little kid, the first time you ever see someone drink is, why the hell would you ever do that? And our inspiration often is Harry Dubois from Disco Elysium and Jim Leahy from Trailer Park Boys. And I'll start off by just talking about Jim Leahy, and I think I want you to take Harry because I think you can do it better. Is me and Quinn show each other content a lot. We show each other a lot of media. We love getting each other invested in things and talking about it just like this, which is why we're recording the way we are now. We just talk all the time about things that matter to us. And I showed Quentin Trailer Park Boys. If you've never seen Trailer Park Boys, it is a Canadian TV show that is about revolving around three main characters with two temporary antagonists back and forth. And it's ghetto, it's low down, it's dirty. No one has much money in it. Most of the characters are not very intelligent, and they commit crime all the time. That's a big point of it.
Crime, like the
petty, yeah, crime. Not like murder, no homicide, nothing like that. It's always like theft under 1,000, things like that, stealing bikes, stupidity.
Yeah.
But they have a way of showing that their lives in that TV show, although it's goofy and especially as for someone like myself, a white suburban guy, growing my entire life in New Jersey, in a nice suburban neighborhood with no crime at all, it's kind of hard to imagine why you would ever want to live that life. But people can be content and happy with what they have, even if it seems like it's so strange, foreign, or difficult to you. It might just be normal to them. And one of the characters, Mr. Jim Leahy, is an alcoholic on that show. He is by far an alcoholic. But his alcohol often is what not only drives him into his worst scenarios, but also brings him back from his worst. It's what gives him his strength, his power, his courage. It can also be his ultimate downfall. And the liquor is treated as a spirit in that show. It is a spiritual force, and he rattles on about it constantly, how it is something that has an effect on everyone around it, how the liquor is this powerful spirit. And it's just something we've sort of put on ourselves now, that even now to this day, that we quote things that he said, that we enveloped his ideas of the liquor itself. We refer to it as the liquor. It's become something that it's like an old friend, a loving old friend to us. It sounds so bad if you're not a drinker, but it's not something to be taken in such a way where it's drink till you drop every night. It's
right.
There's a balance.
For both of us, we don't drink on weekdays anyway. Yeah. We save it for the weekends.
Yep, exactly. We might have a beer here and there on the weekday like now, but we don't really drink much at all on weekdays. We spend most of our weekdays sober, and then Friday and Saturday night, we go all out, have our fun. And there's a balance to that. Everyone has their own balance, and the liquor is not the only thing you need to balance in your life. But liquor or alcohol is something that we found our own balance that brings us a lot of joy, and it's something we're very thankful for. And maybe you want to talk about Harry Dubois as shortly as you can, but is another character that, for kind of similar reasons, has a strong connection with alcohol. I'll let you go then.
Yeah, Harry Dubois is the main protagonist from the video game Disco Elysium. If you haven't played it, great game. Definitely should check it out. But Disco Elysium, you wake up as Harry Dubois, a man who's lost all of his memory, all perception of who he is and how he fits into the world around him. And a large part of that is thanks to the alcohol that he drinks. But one of the things that you can slowly see throughout the game is you can see the memories that come back to Harry as he finds drinks. You can see the way that his brain reacts to them, the ways that it makes him feel, and the game does such an excellent job. Obviously, on the outside, looking at a game like that, like, man, this guy lost all of his memories because he was an awful alcoholic. Like, that seems awful, terrible. But when you start to see Harry regain his memories and talk about the alcohol, you come to realize that just as many bad things that have happened to Harry because of his excessive drinking and his problems, there's so much good that was brought to him too. So many fond memories, so many things that he looks back on and cherishes and will remember for the rest of his life. And I think that there's a lot to glean from that, is that you hear us talking about drinking and we talk about it fondly, but we also both have the idea that alcohol is kind of a tool to use properly, and when used properly can enhance or make situations, more fun. It can or be looked back upon fondly. Sometimes your friend does something stupid while they're drunk, and then everyone gets to laugh about it for the rest of time. Hey, remember when that happened? I'm sure you all have stories where it was that drunken friend that did this or that. And it proves that while it can be seen in a monstrous light, there's definitely a beauty to it as well. And I don't think that there's any two characters that exemplify the beauty of drinking more than Leahy and Dubois, Harry, in this situation, for the just the beauty of what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, without getting too much in that game, because I don't want to spoil anything about it, because it is definitely worth playing. Disco Elysium definitely, that game has a lot of warning for drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. But for as many warnings as it has, it also has an understanding that for some people, that's just how they live. And it's something I've told Quinn a lot of times. It's not a coincidence that often hardworking men are alcoholics. Everyone's had an alcoholic near them or some kind of addict. Me and Mahogany have both grown up probably around, I don't want to speak on your behalf as much, but both around people that were addicted to something that in some way probably have harmed our lives or made it harder, or left us with some levels of trauma at times, or they left memories in our minds we can never forget, for better or worse. And those things are definitely important. And if you're someone that has a problem with alcohol, it's definitely best to find your balance with it. I don't believe in the idea that it's necessary you need to go cold turkey unless you've hit a point you can't go back from. I think going cold turkey because you have 5 beers a week is not exactly a smart solution to yourself. But going cold turkey for someone that's, say, interested in domestic violence every day when they're on the bottle, yeah, maybe that makes more sense. But everyone reacts differently, and everyone has their own ways of dealing with things. And when it comes to alcohol, for some people, that's the jet fuel. That's their fire. That's something that they need. It's not just alcohol. I think drugs are a part of people in general. I think humans and drugs go together well. Drug is an umbrella term. Drug refers to all kinds of things. There's a reason why you take vitamins and such in the morning. There's a reason why when you're a young person that your mama wants to get you different kinds of shots to protect you from different diseases and stuff. It's all drugs. It's just that Yeah, they're all tools. They're all using their own way. Including fucking back when they were giving Vikings hallucinogens so that they could go off and kill people, believing that they were like spirits or something, whatever Vikings believed in. But they all
Oh
had a
yeah.
tool. All those drugs, everything that's been, they're all tools. That's how you have to see them. That's how me and Mahogany definitely see them. It's
Hmm.
a tool and it has to be used wisely. If you misuse it constantly, if you're someone who drinks or smokes or whatever to the point of excess that it's not even um, something you can control anymore. It's something that has become a default for you. You lost the spark, bud. It's gone. That's it. If you've ever met
Yep.
someone that smokes pot or smokes cigarettes or drinks alcohol or takes pills or shoots whatever they're doing, they do it every day. Holy Christ. You know that being around them is a miserable experience.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not fun.
It's the worst. Yeah, but it's because not right when you use a tool, you don't use it for every situation. You'd never use a saw to hammer in a nail.
Exactly.
Or else you're going to bound up hurting yourself. It's just the way that it is. Um, and I think that if you see these things in the same light and you can appreciate them for what they are, you can appreciate the hammer for being a hammer, then you know when's the time to use it and when to enjoy it. And that's how we are. And honestly, it's fostered so much. So much good. I know we just talked about like the bad, but just to leave on a positive note, the amount of friends we've made, the amount of close bonds that we have now from just the people we that came together under drinking, the people that we've even the confidence to do some of the things I probably never would have done, getting myself out of my shell. I mean, I used to be a very shy, timid kid in high school, and then when I got to college, a few of my buddies were like, "Hey, let's go out to the bars. Let's have some drinks." And that broke me out of my shell. I started getting out there. I started talking to people that I would otherwise avoid, and it can be helpful in the right circumstance.
Yeah. Something special to it. And exactly, that's the point. It's a balance. There is good and bad of it, and it's just something you take. Just like anything else in life. You can't simply see it. I think when a lot of people quit something, or if they've known someone who had an addiction to substance, they umbrella it. They immediately go, it's all bad. It has to all be bad. Maybe they needed to tell themselves that either get themselves through the addiction or maybe to help get the other person, whatever it's for. But it's not true. If you're a stronger person, if you have that kind of ability, you can understand that it's so much more than that. Now, obviously, willpower and genetics and such aside, it's at the end of the day, sometimes a man just needs a nice cold drink.
Absolutely. Down the hatch, bud.
Huge. So,
That being said, I guess this is all of this to say this is a warning for anyone watching. We will be talking about alcohol. I'm sure alcohol will come up on more than
a lot.
one circumstance in this, and it will relate to either moments or characters or ideas that we have. And if it's not something you can handle or you don't feel like handling, sorry, but we're not going to change that. It's just something that's very special to us, and it's going to come up. It's going to happen. So
It's called Cognita Tequila. It's going to be a lot of drinking such. So, of course, on the other hand, there'll probably be a lot of moments talking about things not involving alcohol. So it's not all there, but it's something we both like to do. And when we sat down with the idea of this podcast, one of the things we thought about was, well, the two things we love doing most is thinking and drinking. Now, the drinking aspect doesn't help with the thinking per se, but I think some of our best moments at times is if you've ever been drunk or high and had a eureka moment, you'll know exactly what I'm about to talk about. But there is times while, let's just say, intoxicated or fucked up, I found myself having a revelation of some kind, realizing something I could have never understood sober, seeing a dynamic between two people, realizing someone's true intentions towards me, understanding how much someone really meant to me, knowing my true feelings about someone else. There's so many things that I never really could dig down and really reach deep into while sober. And the reasoning for that is because maybe I'm emotionally stunted at times, but I'm not the most connected with my emotions. At least it's not as much as I'd want to be. I think I'm a lot better than when I was a teenager. But most people, especially if you grew up with, say, traditional old school parents, if you got like a Hank Hill father or something, um, you can grow up emotionally stunted and realize that you've never really shown your emotions to other people. And I think that when you start to indulge in substances, you allow yourself to let your guard down, and you get so many more ideas and feelings come in that you never anticipated, and they can be scary and they can be lots of fun. It's a dual thing there, double-bladed sword. So, but to move on from liquor, as much as I love talking about it, I want to talk about our hobbies real quick, because I feel like we have a few things that are just kind of interesting to talk about. And yes, one of our hobbies is drinking, but we'll push that aside for now. Just some slight things, because I mean, after all, this is the first one, and I do want to be clear, like a little bit about us, so it's understood. Like, for instance, I'll start first since I'm the one bringing it up. I used to be a bass player. I used to play the bass guitar. I was not so good at it, but I did play. And go ahead. I know which instrument you played, so.
Yeah, in terms of instruments, I play the banjo. I'm in the same boat. I'm not the greatest player in the world for the banjo, but I'm learning. I've learned some songs, and there's something about the twang, something about that old spirit and bluegrass music that I think just really struck a chord with me. Pun intended. And yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Ooh, that, you saying that remind me of something, is that having brought up Trailer Park Boys earlier, and the way they had lived, and if you remember, I had explained that when you look at other people's lives, at times it's difficult to understand how they could live the way they did with their difficulties, or why would anyone want to live in that way. And me and Mahogany both come from, I want to say, almost different backgrounds, but similar mindsets. I grew up in a suburban home, only a mother and father, zero siblings. I had the most, like, what's the word? Basic life, probably. You have an old man father who gets angry about everything. You have a loving mother who probably spoils you more than you deserve. And I grew up in middle class America, and life was pretty good. I mean, I had my problems fair share as anyone, but looking back, I'm quite grateful. Now, I know you, on the other hand, you had your own different way of growing up. I'll let you talk about it, because I don't want to speak on your behalf.
Yeah, I the reason Trailer Park Boys resonated with me so much is that's where I grew up. I grew up in a trailer park. I grew up with one of those, like, what you would typically call like a white trash family type style situations, where I had tons of siblings. I had my mom and my dad. My granddad lived in the home. And not to say that we were white trash folk. I actually think we were quite civilized compared to some people. But the fun thing about Trailer Park Boys is that when you do grow up in a trailer park, you meet so many characters. There are so many different people. Everything is always like changing, everything's always strange and different and stuff like that. And to the degree when we were watching the show, like, one of the things with Leahy that stood out to me so much that I loved was we had a guy just like Leahy in our trailer park, and originally he was just like the cop in our town, and I grew up in a really small town. But he was like the cop, and then eventually he became not necessarily the trailer park manager, but more like an owner. He bought a large section of the trailer park. But he was just like the cop that would roam around the neighborhood and patrol and stuff like that. And to me, it's such a funny thing that they captured it so well in Leahy, where it's like when he rolled in, he was the law. That was all that pertained to the situation. That's all that mattered. He was the final stop and go on
Yeah.
that. And
All
yeah,
authority with no power.
right, exactly, yeah. And he or just growing up in a trailer park, obviously, like you said, it was a very different experience. I had brothers I had brothers and I had a sister, and just all of the family always being around, all of the trailer park kids. Like at the time, I was kind of the oldest of the trailer park kids, so we had so many of them that would gather around, and it was just a different experience because everyone lived so close to each other that we had these like hordes of like 15 kids all coming out and like trailer park wide hide and seek games. We'd all go back into the woods and journey around together, and it was just there's a lot though. Like people look at like the poorer background and maybe the shittier living conditions as a bad thing. There was a lot of good that came from that kind of situation, and I think that Trailer Park Boys shows that perfectly. Is when you're kind of living in that situation, you don't think about the bad, you find all of the good around you, and it makes you see things that only you might perceive as a good thing in that moment. That makes sense.
Wise words. Yeah, I completely agree. And although I might not have grown up in a similar situation, I loved hearing that from you because same as that show, the idea of sort of making do with what you have and finding the good and the bad, it's I don't know, it's very hopeful. It's inspiring. It's at times where things feel down because it seems silly to feel down when you arguably live in a good country. We live in the U.S. We live in a pretty good place of standing. Many people would consider us to be lucky to even just have what we have on a daily basis, and yet we can still find ourselves down and sad all the time. But yet, despite that, sometimes you need some inspiration and to see others in maybe worse scenarios or harder places still find a good time. I don't know. It gives me something to keep pushing. And I hope that, I wanted you to tell that because I think other people can use that too sometimes.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can be in the shittiest situation in the world, and given the right attitude, the right mindset towards it, you can make the best of any situation. And honestly, that's what I strive to do. Well, I think what everyone should strive to do. Find the positives around you, find the things you can appreciate, the things that you love, and really hang on to them and push for them. And who knows where you'll end up.
Yep. Can't agree more. We've been on our recent push for Hope Core as of lately, as me and Mahogany have. I mean, it's something that's impossible not to notice is that a lot of people, especially of our generation, are doomers. And if you don't know what a doomer is, essentially it means to be see an existential threat in everything around you. You feel that constantly everything is not worthwhile, everything is bad. There's a cynical take for everything. For every time someone is saved, you are willing to look past that for the 5 people that died on the same day. It's
right.
Something where it's not very optimistic. It's pessimistic, cynical, and not very fun to be around. But a lot of people our age tend to gravitate towards that. Maybe they don't mean to go towards it. I don't think that anybody wants to go near it, but they don't want to suffer alone, so they decide to suffer together. And something that we've taken upon ourselves, and not that we're doing something crazy about it, is that we both have tried, not just recently, but I think in the past while, to give a more hopeful take on life. I don't know. Try and bring more optimism to people, trying to bring that hope to people, because you don't know, you have no clue at times how much you matter to someone or how much you mean to someone. I've definitely talked to you about this before, but there's times where I will say not be around for a little while, come back to something and have people tell me, "Oh my God, where were you at?" or "We missed you," and I'll go, "I didn't even think you would think about me."
Yeah.
And you can find the same thing yourself. I guarantee you can find the same thing for yourself. No matter who
Yeah,
you are,
absolutely.
there's somebody. You might just be some fucking homeless guy you pass every day you say hi to. That could have just made his day. You have no goddamn clue. Some people, there
I
really is just something so small.
I was having a great conversation with one of our friends the other night, actually. And again, it was at the end of a long night of drinking. We were all hanging around. It was kind of at the cool down phase where everyone was done and everyone was just sitting around shooting the shit. And when we were talking, I kind of told them one of the best things that you can do is plant the seed. And when I was talking with this friend of ours, she was a little doubtful of whether or not she could have like an impact on the people around her. Which kind of goes into that doomer type mindset, right? In the sense that it's like, well, there's nothing that I can change, right? Like nothing is ever gonna
Yeah.
change. And I was explaining, like, think about it. Maybe you yourself might not be able to change someone, but think about where we are now. Think about the morals we have. Me and you could obviously come to the agreement that murder is bad. But at what point did a human, it took one guy, one girl, whoever it was, to sit down and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And that planted the seed. And then from there, as long as you push it or people around you can help nurture that seed, or more people can plant the seed, then it will grow. And so that's kind of where I come from with like the hope core, or like the positive mentality, is if you can even worm your way into one person's brain and leave a seed there for them that's like, hey, life isn't that bad. Smile, look at the things you have, appreciate the things you have, and they can spread it to someone near them, then you ultimately, even just through your one little action, can cause an infinite amount of good down the road.
While you were saying that, I was imagining a Hope Core edit in my head.
Yeah.
But good words on it. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's a small thing. Sometimes somebody just needs to hear. One of the craziest things that had ever affected me that I never expected. Seems silly almost, but whoever it was out there, thank you. It was one day driving home from work. This was back when I was working a job that involved me driving much farther from home than usual. Um, and the drive there and back was a slog. It was everyday traffic, bumper to bumper, misery. Everyone around was angry and tired. I hated every moment of being on the road then. And I was behind someone, and while I was sitting there thinking to myself, God, do I just want to drive off the nearest cliff? This sucks. I hate everything about this. I pull up behind somebody as I'm moving up, and on the back of their bumper, it was just like, in case you needed to hear it, like, you are loved. And it was stupid. It was the most corny, like,
The Hope Core bumper sticker.
yeah, it was like the kind of thing, a white mom has on the back of her car. Like, definitely not something like the kind of thing I probably would have made fun of not too long ago, or maybe in a different context I would have laughed at and found silly. Not something I would put on my own car. But in that moment, I just stopped and was like, huh, "You're right. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking like that right now?" And I'm not going to say it just suddenly changed my mood, fixed me, but I had a much better day after that, even though it was just a stupid bumper sticker. I know it sounds so dumb. It feels like the most pathetic reason to feel happier about for a bumper sticker, but it was true.
It goes back to the seed idea, right? Is the mightiest oak sprouted from the smallest seed. And
True.
so I think that just being able to even plant the idea in someone's head, and I like even hope everyone who's listening to this right now, if you can just like take anything away from it, just have a little bit of positivity, see what's nice, like think about the things that appreciate you or the people who care about you. Man, it has a world-changing effect on your views. It can make you the happiest person in the entire world.
Well, suffering is the seeds of strength, and
Right?
smooth seas don't make good sailors. Those are two quotes that I've learned that have definitely changed my mindset on it. And it's made me realize that every time you go through something terrible, it means you're going to come out stronger on the other side.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. You're
Easier said than done, obviously, but
it, when
it's
you're
just a
in the
challenge.
storm, it's going to feel like the worst thing in the world, but it goes back. I mean, there's a million quotes to it, right? It's the whole you can't have a rainbow without rain type of
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
There can't be anything if you're happy and you have no sadness to compare it to, you would never understand how lucky you are to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had someone, I think, tell me once that usually happiness is something you kind of look back at. You never really notice in the moment when you're truly happy. You only really realize you were happy after it's already passed. I don't know if
Happiness
that's
is like a nostalgic feeling almost.
almost. I don't know if, I guess that could be true because, like, when you think of nostalgia, um, it typically nostalgia is kind of seen as a good thing, right? When you look back at something like from your childhood, or maybe just a better time of a certain subject in your life, you think of all the good things. You never think of the bad things. But in the moment
Right.
that you're living, you're always focused on the. It's so hard to focus on the good things because they seem like they don't mean anything right now. You're how can I focus on this recent development with my girlfriend? I just lost my job, something like that. Where meanwhile, 5 years down the line, you look back and go, man, me and my girlfriend just got engaged at that time. Those best years of my life. It could be something like I'm just pulling it out of my ass, but
Right. No,
as an
exactly. I
example.
agree. You always remember like nostalgia is described as a golden haze, right?
Right,
It's
exactly.
the you're always seeing the best in the past, and it's because I mean I think that says a lot about the human brain, which is a huge part of this reason we started this podcast too, was just the thinking part. I think it's a wonderful thing to show that the human brain does such an immaculate job at holding on to the beauty in the world, but it doesn't force you to keep a hold of the bad things. You can shake them off, you can move on.
100%. I mean, you're the man of the human brain. You've definitely gotten me to look more into it. I am the media guy, I would say, in our little group here, because uh, you were someone I've seen do this in real time, studying someone and just you ever see memes about someone where it's like I took a guess about someone or a YouTuber and it turned out that I was right and I was so happy. You to me
Mhm.
are the epitome of that. But as for myself, I'm like, well, I'm just the guy that knows a lot of movie stuff or a bunch of like nerdy media. It's not very interesting. As for yourself, you describe yourself like Mahogany often describes himself as the human encyclopedia. He is an encyclopedia of useless knowledge.
Yep.
But it might not be so useless after all because you've definitely had a great effect on people I've known that you've known. Um, and that's kind of something I would look forward to in future podcasts. Like, I want to talk about to kind of wrap this up because we're nearing towards, I think, an end point for us, at least this first time,
Yeah.
is there's so much I want to talk about for you and only so much time to do it. And one of those things is there's a beauty you have touched within me that I've never seen of anyone before, and it's why you're my best pal. Is how you can interact with other people, the confidence you display, the love you can show them, but also the tough love at times when they need it. But your understanding of people and how they work, it's something else. I mean, you are one of the greatest men I've ever known. As for me, though, where I've got you beat, son, is I got my fingers on the pulse of human evolution. I understand how humans are, bro. I am
Yeah.
the next Resident Evil boss, just waiting to
Yeah,
happen.
Albert Wesker too, man. Um, yeah, no, I think that me and you have talked about this a lot, and I to carry on with that, and I where I would give you props in it is part of what we've agreed upon is what makes us such a good duo is in parts where maybe I can read people or read the situation better. I think that there are downsides to that as well, where it comes in like sometimes I can be harsh on people that I don't intend to be, thinking that's what they need to hear. And the thing is you have what I would describe as like a very the gentle hand. I would describe, I guess would be the best way to explain it,
Sure.
in the sense that you show like an unequated kindness to everyone. You go into every situation giving kindness to people and trying to show them the same attention and care and love, and I find that a hard thing to do, and so I give you just massive props for that at the end of the day, because I tend to look at people too logically. I can't put like if I see someone do something that I get in my head it's like shitty, I have a very difficult time extending that kindness to them, I guess.
Sure.
Um and
You
I
justify to feel
think
that way.
uh, I and way in times I definitely feel that way. Don't get me wrong, 100%. There are times where I'm like, yeah, that fucker deserved everything I gave him and more. But there are other times where I look back on it and I'm like, oh, I could have been better about that. But then that's where you have my back on it. Is you cover my base that I can't, and I hope I do vice versa. And I think that both of our perspectives on people is going to have a huge impact on the way things we talk about here, and I'm just excited to see how any characters we bring up or anything we talk about, just seeing those two perspectives rub off, and maybe we'll butt heads, and that's what
I
I
hope
find
so.
interesting. Yeah,
I don't
so do
want to
I.
agree on everything because definitely that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring up where we came from and kind of how we grew up a little bit, maybe some of our interests and things we like. Is that although at times it can seem like we're a lot of people can get misunderstood that we're like have the same exact opinion on everything, and I think it comes off that way because at core our values are often very similar. Is that we do take a different approach to everything. I would say me and you typically have a completely different way of seeing certain characters, or and usually when a person, whether fictional or real, or someone or anything, shows us something, we both have our expressed reaction to it, and then we come together and we share those ideas, and we either typically find a stronger agreement on it, or we butt heads enough. But even when we do, I feel like I take something away with it, even if I can't fully understand what it is or why you'd feel that way. Every time I always end up saying, well, I've just learned more about people and I feel better about it. So I definitely want to express that, like, well, you know, our differences only make us stronger, and I do hope that they are there.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I've always believed in one thing, and I've told you I thirst for knowledge. I want the pursuit of knowledge, and I mean to the degree that me and you disagree on one very large thing, which is the whole like there's some knowledge you should not know. That's
Mhm.
a great difference between us in the pursuit of knowledge. You or I vehemently take the stance that there is no knowledge a human being should not pursue. I think that we should know everything there is to know about anything.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of the fence. Is that there's just certain things that might be better left not knowing for a happier life. It's just how I
Uh,
feel about it.
Yeah, I find that again, that's something I find so interesting because to me, the pursuit of happiness is coincident with the pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah.
That in order to obtain happiness, you need to know everything.
Well, we definitely have different souls in that capacity, and I would love to talk about that more in the future. I want to talk about so many things. I want to talk about God and our faith and our differences in it and why we came to be, our values and our views in that. I want to talk about why we like certain media we do, and sometimes the media we like is pretty different, I would say,
Yeah,
but has certain connections on its own we can find. And oh God, there is so many more people and hilarious old events that have happened in our lives I definitely want to describe in the future, but we'll wrap it up with that. And that
yeah, I
is
think.
Cognita Tequila. Go ahead. Do we want to say?
Okay, yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the first episode. I know this was a little bit of a just kind of describing ourselves. It might not be what interests you most, but we're going to discuss literally everything and anything under the sun. So if you have topics, ideas, anything like that, let us know. Also, we look forward to sharing everything we have with you and hearing from you what you think. So thank you, everyone.
Yep, well said. And every episode will be titled and named, so you won't go into it blind. So this one will be probably
Humble
introductions and
beginnings.
such. Yep, humble beginnings. There you go. We'll figure it out. All right. Good morning or good night.
Bye.
Bye bye.